Have you ever wondered why churches face east? Find out in just a few minutes. It is important to realize that sometimes symbolism, practicalities, and traditions are intertwined. We might try out an idea for a very practical reason, and then it sticks and becomes a tradition, and then we ascribe symbolic meaning to it. Other times, we might implement something new for its symbolism, and then its practical advantages solidify it as a tradition. Depending on the church practice, we may or may not know exactly how it started and what made the idea stick around. As far as why churches face east, we can look at each of these three reasons, but we do not know which one came first. We know that it quickly became a tradition. So let us explore the practical uses and symbolic meaning. If you have ever been in church on a Sunday morning when the power went out, you know one big advantage. Churches used to be built with their entryway directly into the sanctuary, and those doors would face east. Just imagine what it was like before we had electricity and light bulbs. Think of how glass was stained or foggy and only let some light through. If you needed extra light in the morning, you would want the largest opening to face the sun. We all know the sun rises in the east, so we put the biggest opening that allows the most light through on the eastern wall. That is a huge practical advantage for the people inside, especially in those days when the practice started. But what about the people outside? Steeples and bell towers are much the same, having some practical and some symbolic meaning. Between those tall structures and how often churches have been built on hilltops, they often serve as landmarks. Again, thinking back in the days before Google Maps and GPS, even before highways and street markers, landmarks were how you figured out where you were going. Since churches were an incredibly common landmark, being high on hills and tall besides, it helps all of society out if they all face the same direction. Each church building's sanctuary served as a compass, letting you know which direction was which, even from miles away. So there we have two very practical advantages, but of course church traditions very often also have meaning ascribed to them. So what might the church facing this cardinal direction mean? Consider Jesus' remark in Matthew 24 verse 7 concerning his return. For just as lightning comes from the east and goes to the west also, so shall the coming of the Son of Man be. This is not the only example of God acting in a way that moves from east to west. Malachi chapter 4, for example, refers to the sun of righteousness rising. When God acts, it's like the sun rising in the sky, which of course is in the east. Psalm 24 and Ezekiel 43 both make reference to the Messiah coming into Jerusalem from the east. While all four of these references might refer to when Jesus had his triumphal entry into Jerusalem, anytime we read prophecy, we might think of ways in which they refer to the future. Given that Jesus refers to himself as the Son of Man a few times when talking about his eventual return and judgment, we have reason to believe he was referring to the same when he said it would be from east to west. Churches have this in mind when their sanctuary doors face east. Should Jesus return, the door would face him. Here's something else you may not have noticed. Tradition is to be buried with our feet facing east, out of the belief that when Jesus returns and the dead rise, we would rise to face him. Became so commonplace in many countries, even non-Christians are buried facing the same direction. So what do you think? Do churches face east just to be a little bit more prepared for the day Jesus returns? Or are the practical advantages of early morning light and guiding landmarks more important? Let us know in the comments, or if you know of any other reasons to explain the decision. Lastly, if you have not yet already, please do consider subscribing or following. It costs you nothing but supports our work here tremendously. Thank you for your help in this regard. We appreciate you. Hopefully we can be of help to you. It just takes a few minutes a day to learn all about the Bible. And that is the sort of content we hope to share with you. Remember that you are loved and you matter. God bless you. Amen.